My name is Katrina Francisco, Kat, and I am the co-founder of Dream Bigger Ventures. I was asking Christine, Christine, are you still going to be introducing me? And then she said, I already showed your face earlier, so just go straight right in. And I am just thrilled to continue our evening. On to the next slide, please, for our showcase. So, for the next 45 minutes, we will be meeting founders representing 6 tech startups here from the Philippines at various stages of their startup journey. And I actually ran for the past 8 weeks, ran with them a boot camp. This is already the 3rd iteration of the Dream Bigger Ventures boot camp. We had our first cohort back in 2021, and then another one last year, and then the third, this is pretty much like the penultimate event for the cohort. And we're just so happy to be sharing it with the rest of you. Eventually, we hope, we'll see if we'll be able to run several cohorts in a year. Alongside you guys, let's build the pipeline for the Philippines. And we're very much excited for that. And yeah, again, to the next slide. So these are actual slides that we used, when we were interacting with the founders. And maybe I'll just share a little bit of a background, like who I am, because I think most of the people here know about Christine. So Christine and I, we met back in 2021. I met her at a Praxis Academy online, Praxis Academy online. She pops up on my screen. It was probably 2 a.m. because I was taking it, it was Eastern time, probably 2 a.m. here. She pops up on the screen. First thing in my mind, she's Filipina. She's Filipina. I had no doubt. There was no doubt about it. She was Filipina. And then the second thought in my head was, God's doing something. Because at that time, just to share with everyone, I just came home from Singapore because I had to fold my startup. So I was also an ex-founder. I entered the tech startup digital scene, I think back in 2013. And, still at it now, having been part of, startups in various stages, also starting my own. Now, along with Dream Bigger, I'm also with the largest fintech company in the Philippines. Just a little plug there. But yeah, so around the time, 2021, I was figuring out what was next. And I didn't know. It really felt as though I hit a wall because I had to fold something that I thought God has asked me to go and do. Went to Singapore, joined a VC, got to understand the scene, pitched an idea, got venture funded, learned all about redemptive entrepreneurship and thought, all right, I'll do this, build a startup, have a bit of influence, and then tell more people about redemptive entrepreneurship. That was my goal. Get that credibility through the startup. And then it folds, because the pandemic just, it happened. I was at the cusp of getting an additional round of funding. COVID happened, funds sucked back to where they came from. But yeah, so in all of that, Christine came along. God's also doing something from her side of the pond. We met up 2021, got to talk, and then okay, I'm a product person. Let's just do it. Let's do it. Let's prototype. Let's do the cohort. And you see Sam and Akre, they were part of our cohort 1, such a special group. And Jim, Jim was also part of cohort 1, such a special group of people who, we were starting to, plant that seed again of redemptive entrepreneurship and just asking people, why are you doing this? What are you called to create? What are you aspiring for? And it's just a beautiful thing to see how that transforms from the start of the cohort up until the end of a cohort. And you will see that in the redemptive visions that each of our startups will be presenting also later. So to the next. So here, I'm just going to speed through it. So very at the core of our boot camp, of course, will be fundamentals of running a business, because we do want to provide that support, provide that community, provide that help for the founders here that might otherwise have not been made available maybe several years ago. That's why it hasn't really happened yet for the Philippines. But we've identified that need, and yes, we do give that those business fundamentals. But at the heart of it, Christine always reminds me, character over competence. And true enough, that's why we always begin these are the 3 dimensions of work. And there are 3 ways to work. And here we have, of course, exploitative, us being in a third world country. Too bad this thing we know all too well, how it happens. And I think some members of the group who were able to go around the city earlier have seen various, several perspectives. I'll look into that. And then we push it into the ethical. And more often than not, it stops at the ethical. The challenge for us here as faith-driven entrepreneurs and investors is to push it forward into what is redemptive. And it was a question. I love having a group and then just dropping that bomb of a word that is redemptive, and then coupling it with another bomb of a word, which is entrepreneurship. So what is redemptive entrepreneurship? I asked it to the founders, what is it? And someone said, I think it was Nicole, those don't make sense together. That shouldn't be in the same sentence. That shouldn't be in the same phrase. But we're here challenging that idea, challenging ourselves to reimagine how the world should look like, how we should be operating. And here is the redemptive frame. I don't have time to fully go into it. But over the course of the 8 weeks of our boot camp, this is something that we really fleshed through. Again, a lot of challenging, a lot of questions being asked to the founders. A lot of journal questions, a lot of discussion questions. And that hopefully will help shape them far beyond, our engagement. So here, and this is what it's about. So we define redemptive as following the pattern of creative restoration through sacrifice in our life and work and entrepreneurship, directing our agency and resources toward organizational creation, innovation, and risk. I love that. Creation, innovation, and risk. And I think it's something all of us here, it can be all fun, but actually when we take a step back, it's a hard thing that we're trying to crack. But together, as a community, we can't do it alone. Archangel couldn't do it alone. Each of your organizations couldn't do it by yourselves. But together, taking on that risk, being called to create and then acting on that, using our own agency, I think we can really make it for the Philippines. We can really make it for this nation. And it's such an exciting time. We're at the cusp of something great. And here, we also went through this, just a glimpse of what we do discuss. Being called to create, being called to be a founder. Some people just found themselves in it. Some people, came from families who were entrepreneurial. We have folks in our group who came from NGOs, some of them probably asking why they landed as being for-profit entrepreneurs. But we're just here, responding to this calling of number 1, and it's shared by every other human being. It's about bearing the image of God. We are all bearers of God's image. And here, shared by every member of the family of God, is to restore the image of God. We're here for restoration. That's the gospel narrative right there. And I think we are all agents, actors, contributors to that restoration. And then finally, here, right now, and it is unique to each one of you. If there are about 70 to 80 people here, there are 70 to 80 contingent callings in the room. And again, I'm here, challenging each one. What is your current contingent calling? And there is a reason why we've all met each other. We're now forming connections. I have friends from Jakarta, friends from Singapore, and I'm just telling them it's so great to see you guys here in Manila, and there's a reason why. And yes, I believe that we're all like acting upon our contingent callings. And finally, I just want to share with you the flow of our boot camp, and this is something that we are very much eager to share with like other redemptive labs in the region. It's a great sharing community. So this is the 8. So seeing your world, designing your solution, managing your money, building your brand, forming your team, developing your pitch, tracking your progress, and finally, the showcase. That is week 8. That's how it went. That's the schedule. It's a mix of in-person and virtual. And actually now, like, it's only the 3rd cohort that we did in person. And it's so different from when we did it online. And I know Sam is always like asking me like, oh, we didn't do in person during cohort 1. Like, yeah, we're right in the midst of the pandemic. But yeah, because it's like the connections just happen so quickly amongst like founders who have that initiative, who actually like started to do something. And yeah, it was, that's why, you know, I think each cohort is special, and the in-person factor for cohort 3 is, I think, like one of the things that make it very, very special. And then this is my final slide. So throughout those 8 weeks, we leaned heavily on content from Faith-Driven Entrepreneur as well as like Praxis Labs. And each week also had like a scriptural anchor. Just, you know, verses from scripture that would hopefully inspire, encourage, challenge, build up our founders as they go back, you know, to their workplace and act on what we just learned together. So with that, that's a bit of a brief of what our boot camp is all about. This might not be like the final look of it. Always iterating again, like, you know, after this, Christine and I will like talk like what worked, what didn't, stop, you know, stop, continue, start. We're going to be doing that. But yeah, I think at every turn, we hope to be able to serve better our founders and the greater community in general. Thank you so much.